The chamber was silent. 47 species sat in the great hall, and every single one of them was afraid. Not the kind of fear that makes you run. The kind that makes you think very carefully before you speak. Vorlich stood at the center. His blue skin looked pale under the lights. He was the chairman of the Galactic Council, and he had fought humans 3 times. His people lost every single battle. "We must discuss the human problem," Vorlich said. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. "They have been part of our galaxy for 50 years now. In that time, they have changed everything. A tall creature with 4 arms raised 1 limb. Changed? You mean destroyed? They destroyed my fleet at Proxima. 700 ships. Gone in 2 days," another voice joined in. "The siege of Kepler. We had them surrounded. Didn't they won? They still won. How do you fight something like that?" "You don't," Vorlich said quietly. "That is what we learned. Humans do not surrender. They do not retreat. They adapt. They improvise. They find ways to win that we never imagine." Ambassador Dayun sat in the human section. She was 48 years old and had spent the last decade trying to make the other species less afraid of her people. It was not going well. Next to her sat Commander Tae-hyun, wearing his naval uniform with 6 medals on his chest. Each medal told a story that made the aliens nervous. "Ambassador Da-un," Vorlich said, turning to face her. "Your people want peace. We understand this, but how can we trust you? Every time we fight, you show us new weapons, new tactics. We never know what comes next." Daeun stood up slowly. She knew every eye in the room was watching her. "Chairman Vorlich, we came here for peace. We have always wanted peace. But when you attacked our colonies, what did you expect? We defended ourselves." "Defended?" A small creature with green scales hissed the word. "You call the Battle of Mars defending? We sent 40,000 soldiers. You killed 38,000 of them in 1 week. Your casualties? 500. That is not defense. That is slaughter." Commander Tae-hyun stood up beside Da-un. His face showed no emotion. "You attacked our home. Mars is humanity's 2nd planet. What did you think would happen? We protected our families, our children. If that makes us dangerous, then yes, we are dangerous." The room erupted in noise, species shouting at each other. Some wanted war. Some wanted to negotiate. All of them were scared. Vorlich raised his hand for silence. "Enough, we are not here to relive the past. We are here to discuss the future. The treaty." He pulled up a holographic document. "Humanity offers peace. They will stop expanding for 20 years. They will share some technology. In return, we recognize their territory and stop our attacks. And if we refuse?" someone asked. Tae-hyun's voice was cold. "Then the war continues. And you know how that ends." The silence came back. Heavy and thick, a young council member, barely 30 cycles old, stood up. "I have a question. I found something in our intelligence files. Something called the Special Operations Division. What is that?" Tae-hyun and Tae-hyun looked at each other quickly. Very quickly. But Vorlich saw it. "That is just a rumor," an old general said. "Intelligence gossip. Nothing real." "But the file," the young member started. "Is classified," Vorlich interrupted, "and not relevant to today's discussion. We are here to talk about peace, not chase ghosts." But Vorlich wondered. He had seen that look between the 2 humans. There was something there, something they were not saying. The negotiations continued for 6 hours. Back and forth. Arguments and compromises. Finally, as the sun set outside the massive windows, they reached an agreement. Daeun signed for humanity. Vorlich signed for the Council. 47 species watched as the war officially ended. "Peace," Vorlich said, holding up the signed document. "After 50 years, we finally have peace." The council members stood and applauded. Some looked relieved. Others still looked afraid. Tae-hyun shook hands with several generals. Dae-hyun smiled and talked with diplomats. Maybe this would work. Maybe the fighting was really over. Then the alarm started. Red lights flashed across every screen. A voice came over the speakers. "Emergency transmission from Station Epsilon 7. We are under attack. Armed terrorists have seized control. They have hostages. Council members are among them. Repeat, this is not a drill. Epsilon 7 has been compromised." The room exploded into chaos. Species shouting. Security running. Vorlich tried to get information. The screens showed Epsilon 7, a neutral station where different species met to trade and talk. Now smoke poured from its windows. Ships surrounded it, but they wore no flags. No identification. Who are they? Someone shouted. What do they want? Another transmission came through. A masked figure appeared on screen. People of the Council, we have 37 hostages, diplomats, scientists, civilians. If you want them back, you will meet our demands. The figure listed demands: weapons, territory, release of prisoners. You have 48 hours. If you attack, we kill the hostages. If you refuse, we kill the hostages. Choose wisely. The screen went dark. Vorlix looked at his security chief. Options? We can send our special forces. The Krillian commandos are the best we have. How long to get them there? 12 hours. Do it. Across the room, Daun pulled out her communication device. She typed a single message, encrypted and sent to Earth Defense Command. Just 3 words. 3 words that would change everything. Ghost protocol active. Taehyun saw the message and nodded once, very slightly. Then they both turned back to the chaos around them, their faces calm while the galaxy panicked. The peace treaty lay on the table, still warm from the signing. The ink was barely dry, and already everything was falling apart. 20 hours had passed since the terrorists took Station Epsilon 7. Vorlix had not slept. He stood in the command center, watching screens that showed the station from every angle. Somewhere inside that metal structure, 37 people waited to die. Status of the Krillian commandos? He asked. His security chief looked nervous. They arrived 2 hours ago. They are preparing for assault. Good. The Krillians are the best fighters in the galaxy. They have never failed a mission. The chief nodded but said nothing. Everyone knew the Krillians were good. They trained for years. They had advanced weapons. They were strong and fast. But everyone also remembered that humans existed. And humans changed the meaning of words like best and never. Commander Taehyun stood nearby. Daeun was next to him. They watched the screens quietly. You sent the message, Taehyun whispered to her. I did. Will they come? If needed. Let us see what the Krillians can do first. The assault began at dawn. 12 Krillian commandos approached the station using stealth pods. The pods were invisible to most sensors. The commandos wore advanced armor. They carried the newest weapons. Each one had completed 200 missions. They were professionals. The first pod attached to the station's outer hull. The commandos began cutting through. On the command center screens, everyone watched with hope. Maybe this would work. Maybe the terrorists would not see them coming. Then the explosion started. The terrorists had sensors too. Better sensors. They had prepared for exactly this kind of attack. Charges detonated around the hull. 3 pods exploded instantly. The other pods tried to retreat, but weapons fire caught them. Energy beams and missiles. The Krillian commandos died in space, their bodies floating away from the station. 12 of the galaxy's best soldiers. Dead in 4 minutes. The command center went silent. Vorlix felt cold. His best option was gone. The terrorists were too well prepared. Too well armed. The masked figure appeared on screen again. That was foolish. You have 36 hours left. Next time you attack, we start killing hostages. 1 every hour until you stop. What do we do? Someone asked. We cannot meet their demands. They want too much. Then we have no choice, a general said. We destroy the station. Kill everyone. At least the terrorists do not escape with our technology. No. Taehyun's voice cut through the room. You will not kill those hostages. Vorlix turned to face him. Commander, with respect, what else can we do? Our best forces failed. We have no other options, Daun stepped forward. You do have another option. You just do not know about it yet. What do you mean? She looked at Taehyun. He nodded. Daeun pulled out her communication device. Help is already on the way. 3 hours later, a ship arrived. It was small, black, no markings, no identification. It did not request permission to dock. It simply appeared on the sensors like a ghost. What is that? Vorlix demanded. Who authorized this? I did, Daeun said calmly. The ship docked with the command station. 5 figures stepped out. They wore black tactical gear. No insignia, no names. Their faces were calm, professional. They carried weapons that the aliens did not recognize. The leader walked up to Vorlix. She was young, maybe 30 years old. Her eyes were dark and steady. Captain Jiwoo, we are here to retrieve the hostages. Vorlix stared at her. You, 5 humans? Our best commandos just died trying to breach that station. What makes you think you can succeed where they failed? Jiwoo's expression did not change. Because we are not commandos. Show me the station layout. A hologram appeared showing Epsilon 7. Every room, every corridor, the locations of hostages, the positions of terrorists, security systems, weapons placements. Jiwoo studied it for 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Then she nodded. Dongmin, you will handle their communications and security. Hyejin. Close quarters when we reach the command center. Jae-sung, we need entry points here, here, and here. She pointed at 3 locations. Minseo, overwatch position at this angle. The 4 others nodded. They understood instantly. No questions. No discussion. Vorlix felt confused. That is your plan? That is all you need to see? Yes. But the terrorists have advanced weapons. Security systems. They killed 12 Krillian commandos. Jiwoo finally showed emotion. A small smile. Not friendly, not mean. Just confident. Chairman Vorlix, the Krillians are excellent soldiers. But soldiers fight wars. We end them. We will have your people out in 3 hours. Stay clear of the station. Do not interfere. She turned to leave. Her team followed. They moved like shadows, silent, efficient. Wait, Vorlix called. Who are you? What unit? What division? Jiwoo stopped. She looked back over her shoulder. We do not have a division. We do not officially exist. But if you need a name, call us what the others do. Call us ghosts. Then they were gone. The command center erupted in noise. Aliens shouting, arguing. This was insane. 5 humans against a fortified station? Against terrorists who just killed the Krillian commandos? It was suicide. But Da-eun and Tae-hyun stood quietly. They were not worried. They had seen teams like this before. They knew what was about to happen. Vorlix watched his screens. The small black ship detached from the command station and moved toward Epsilon 7. It moved strangely. Not like normal ships. It seemed to blur, to fade. His sensors kept losing it. Can you track them? He asked his technical officer. No, sir. They are using some kind of stealth technology. Much better than ours. Much better than the Krillians used. I cannot get a clear reading. Vorlix turned to Da-eun. Who are they really? You said they are not commandos. Then what? Da-eun looked at the screen where the black ship was disappearing from view. Special Forces. Earth Special Forces. You wanted to know about the Special Operations Division. Now you will see it. 5 people. You think 5 people can save 37 hostages? Tae-hyun spoke quietly. Chairman, those 5 people are worth more than your entire Krillian unit. Each one has trained for 7 years. Each one has completed missions that we will never tell you about. They do not fail. Ever. Vorlix wanted to believe it. But he had just watched 12 elite soldiers die. How could 5 humans do better? On the screens, the black ship reached Epsilon 7. Then it vanished completely. No heat signature. No energy reading. Nothing. It was as if the ship never existed. The ghosts had arrived. And the terrorists inside the station had no idea what was coming for them. Inside Station Epsilon 7, the terrorists felt confident. They had killed the Krillian commandos easily. Their weapons were good. Their defenses were strong. No one was getting in. The leader walked through the corridors, checking on his soldiers. 40 men and women, all well-trained, all loyal. They had planned this for 2 years. Every detail, every possibility. They controlled the hostages. They controlled the station. They controlled the situation. Status report, he said into his communicator. All quiet, sir. Sensors show nothing. No ships approaching. No movement. Good. Keep watching. They will try again. They always do. What he did not know was that Jiwoo's team was already inside. They had approached from the dark side of the station. Their ship used technology that bent light around it. Made it invisible, not just to sensors, to everything. Jae-sung had placed 3 small charges on the hull. So small they looked like maintenance bolts, so precise they would not trigger any alarms. The charges went off silently. They cut perfect circles in the metal. No sparks, no noise, no pressure change. The team slipped inside like smoke. Minseo moved to her position first. She found a maintenance tunnel with a view of the main corridor. She set up her rifle. It was long and black with a scope that could see through walls. She could hit a target from 2 kilometers away. Inside a station, everything was close. Too close. This would be easy. Overwatch in position, she whispered into her radio. Dongmin pulled out a small device. He attached it to a wall panel. It connected to the station's network instantly. His fingers flew across a holographic keyboard that only he could see. I am in their system. Mapping hostiles now. On their shared display, red dots appeared. 40 of them. The terrorists. Blue dots showed the hostages. All in one room. Heavily guarded. Cameras looped, Dongmin continued. Security shows nothing. They think everything is normal. Jiwoo studied the map. Yejin, take the left corridor. Jae-sung, right side. I will go center. We clear section by section, silent until we reach the hostages. They moved. 3 shadows gliding through the station. A terrorist guard stood at a junction. He was watching his scanner. It showed nothing. He yawned. This was boring. Nothing ever happened on these long watches. Yejin appeared behind him. She moved faster than he could think. One hand covered his mouth. The other struck the base of his skull. Precise, professional. He was unconscious in 2 seconds. She lowered him quietly to the floor. First hostile down, she reported. 2 more guards walked together down a corridor. They were talking about what they would do with their share of the ransom. They never heard Jiwoo behind them. 2 quick strikes, both down. She dragged them into a storage room. 3 down. Jae-sung found 3 terrorists in a control room. They were watching screens. He could not reach them without being seen. Minseo, 3 targets. Control room B, I see them, she replied. Her rifle moved slightly. The scope showed her everything. Distance, wind, angles. Not that wind mattered inside a station. She breathed slowly. In, out. Her finger touched the trigger. 3 shots, so quiet they sounded like coughs. 3 terrorists dropped. The station's metal walls had not stopped her bullets. Special ammunition, designed to penetrate and kill without over-penetration. No collateral damage. 6 down. The team continued. Silent, efficient. Every terrorist they found went down before they could raise an alarm. The terrorist leader did not know. His sensors showed nothing. His cameras showed nothing. His guards did not report anything wrong because they were unconscious or dead. 15 minutes after entering the station, Jiwoo's team had eliminated 26 hostiles. More than half. And still no alarm. Then they reached the hostage room. 14 terrorists guarded it, too many to take silently. The room had only one entrance. A blast door. Heavily armored, inside that room the terrorist leader stood over the hostages. 37 people sat on the floor, hands bound. They looked terrified. Some were crying. Others stared at nothing. The leader held a small device. A dead man switch. If he let go, explosives around the room would detonate. Kill everyone, he smiled. This was perfect insurance. No one could touch him. Outside, Jiwoo studied the situation. The blast door was too strong. They could not breach it quickly. And the moment they tried, the leader would know. He might kill the hostages. Dongmin, can you open the door from here? Yes, but they will hear it. You will have maybe 3 seconds before they react. Minseo, do you have a shot on the leader? Minseo adjusted her scope. She looked at the walls. Looked at the angles. Negative. Too many walls. I need a direct line. Jiwoo thought for 3 seconds. Then she made a decision. Jae-sung cut a hole, small, right here. She pointed at a specific spot on the wall. Dongmin, when the hole opens, I want every light in that room to flash. Blind them for 2 seconds. Minseo, that will be your window. Take the leader, headshot. He cannot release that switch. Understood? Jae-sung placed a small charge. It was the size of a coin. He stepped back. Ready? On 3, 1, 2, 3. The charge cut a perfect circle. No bigger than a fist. Inside the room, the lights went crazy, flashing bright. The terrorists shouted, covering their eyes. The terrorist leader squinted against the light. What was happening? His hand started to move, started to release the switch. Minaseo's bullet traveled through the hole, through the flashing light, through the chaos. It hit the leader exactly where she aimed. His brainstem. Death was instant. His hand froze on the switch, locked in place by muscles that no longer received signals. The switch stayed pressed. The leader fell. The switch fell with him. Still pressed. Still safe now, Jiwoo shouted. Dongmin opened the blast door. It slid open with a heavy sound. The remaining 13 terrorists turned toward it. They raised their weapons, but Jiwoo's team was already moving. They came through the door like a storm. Heejin went left. Jiwoo went right. Jae-sung went center. Their movements were perfect, coordinated. They had trained together for years. Each one knew where the others would be. The terrorists fired, but they were still blind from the lights, still confused. Their shots went wild. The Special Forces team did not miss. Each shot counted. Each shot hit 90 seconds. That was how long it took. 90 seconds of controlled chaos. When it ended, all 13 terrorists were down. The hostages were safe. Not one of them had been hit. Jiwoo walked to the dead leader. She carefully removed the switch from his hand. Disabled it. The threat was over. All hostiles neutralized, she reported into her radio. Hostages secure. Beginning extraction. The hostages stared at the 5 humans in black gear. They had appeared from nowhere, fought like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Who were these people? Heejin began cutting their bonds. You are safe now, stay calm. We will get you out. In the command center, Vorlix watched his screens. They had been showing nothing for over an hour. Then suddenly his communications officer shouted, Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Epsilon 7. The hostages. They are calling us. What? How? I do not know. They say they are free. They say the terrorists are all dead or unconscious. The room went silent. Everyone stared. Vorlix felt his skin go cold. How long has it been? Since the humans arrived? 2 hours and 41 minutes. Commander Taehyun smiled slightly. She said 3 hours. They finished early. The black ship appeared on sensors again. It docked with Epsilon 7. Minutes later, it departed with all 37 hostages. They were safe, healthy, alive, every single one. The ship did not return to the command station. It simply left, disappeared into space. The ghosts were gone as quietly as they had come. Vorlix sat down slowly. His legs felt weak. Around him, council members were shouting, celebrating, confused, afraid. They had just witnessed something impossible. 5 humans had done what 12 Krillian commandos could not. Had done it in less than 3 hours. With 0 casualties, he looked at Ambassador Daun. She stood calmly as if nothing unusual had happened. Ambassador, what did we just see? She smiled. Not a happy smile. A tired one. The truth, Chairman Vorlix. The truth about humanity's real capabilities. You thought you knew what we could do. You were wrong. The council chamber had never been this quiet. Every species representative sat frozen in their seats. The rescued hostages had just finished telling their story. How 5 humans in black gear had appeared like magic. How they moved through the station without triggering a single alarm. How they killed 40 terrorists in less than 3 hours. Vorlix felt like his understanding of reality had broken. He had fought humans. He knew they were dangerous, but this was something else entirely. Ambassador Daun, he said. His voice was steady, but barely. You will explain now, who were those people? Daun stood. She had known this moment would come. The secret had to be revealed. What you saw was a Special Forces team. Earth's Special Forces. We call them different names. Rangers, SEALs, Special Air Service, Commandos. They have existed for thousands of years. Thousands of years? Someone gasped. Yes, before we had space travel. Before we had energy weapons. Before we even had gunpowder. Humans created elite warriors. Small groups trained to do what armies could not. To strike in the night. To rescue prisoners. To kill leaders. To win wars before they started. Vorlix shook his head. But we fought your military. We saw your soldiers. Your ships. They were dangerous, yes, but they were soldiers. Normal fighters. These people today were not soldiers. Commander Taehyun stood up next to Daun. That is correct, Chairman. They are not soldiers. Not in the way you understand. Let me explain the difference. A soldier joins the military. They train for 6 months, maybe a year. They learn to fight, to follow orders, to work in a unit. They are good at what they do. He paused. Special Forces operators train for 5 to 7 years. Before they even start, we test them. Only 10% pass the initial selection. Those 10% then train constantly. Physical conditioning, weapons, languages, technology, strategy, psychology. They learn to survive anywhere, to fight anyone, to complete any mission. Captain Jiwoo, he continued, has been training since she was 23 years old. She is now 32. 9 years of constant training and missions. She speaks 7 languages. She can fly any ship. She can hack any computer. She can kill in 30 different ways with just her hands. And she is not special. Every member of her team is the same. The council members looked sick. One of them stood. How many? How many of these operators does Earth have? Diane looked at Taehyun. He nodded. She turned back to the council. Approximately 50,000. The number hit the room like a bomb. 50,000. 10,000 teams like the one they just saw. The implications were terrifying. That is impossible, someone said. The cost alone. Training one person for 7 years. 10 million credits per operator, Taehyun replied. Yes, it is expensive. We consider it worth the price. Vorlix felt cold. During the war, when we fought, did you use these special forces against us? Daeun pulled up a holographic display. Yes, we did. But you never knew. Let me show you something. Files appeared. Classified documents. Do you remember the Battle of Kepler? Your fleet had us surrounded. Then your command ship exploded. You blamed it on a reactor failure. Yes, a tragic accident. It was not an accident. A special forces team infiltrated your ship. They sabotaged the reactor. They were in and out in 40 minutes. Your admiral never knew they were there. Another file. The communications blackout during the Proxima battle. You thought it was solar interference. It was, Vorlix said, but his voice was weak. No, it was a cyber warfare team. They hacked your network, shut down all communications, made it look natural. More files appeared. Dozens of them. Generals who died in accidents. Supply depots that exploded. Intelligence networks that collapsed. All attributed to bad luck or equipment failure. All actually the work of human special forces. You fought our regular military, Taehyun said. Our Marines. Our fleet. Our conventional forces. They hurt you badly. But all that time our special forces were operating behind your lines. Disrupting. Sabotaging. Eliminating targets. You never even knew we were there. A council member stood. She was shaking. Then why tell us now? Why reveal this? Daeun closed the files. Because secrets create paranoia. You already fear what you know about us. If you continue imagining what you do not know, that fear will grow. It will poison any chance for peace. Better to show you the truth. Let you understand our real capabilities. Then we can build trust. Trust? Vorlix almost laughed. You want us to trust you after showing us this? Yes, because now you understand. We could have destroyed you during the war. Completely. Our special forces could have killed every leader, sabotaged every ship, crippled every planet. But we did not. We used only enough force to defend ourselves. We showed restraint, Taehyun added. I command a fleet, thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. But I do not command the special forces. I cannot order them. I can only request their help. They answer to a different command structure. They have their own rules. Their own code. What code? Someone asked quietly. Protect the innocent. Complete the mission. Leave no one behind. They are warriors, but they are not mindless killers. They follow rules. They have honor. Today you saw that. They could have destroyed Epsilon 7, killed everyone to ensure the terrorists died. But they did not. They risked their lives to save every single hostage. Vorlix thought about this. He remembered the hostages describing how gently the humans had treated them. How professional, how careful. These were not monsters. They were something else. Something he was only beginning to understand. What happens now? He asked. Now we move forward, Daeun said. We signed a peace treaty. We honor it. But you needed to understand who you made peace with. Not just our conventional military. All of us. Including the shadows. A long silence followed. Every council member was thinking, processing. The galaxy had changed today. Their understanding of humanity had changed. They thought they knew their enemy. They were wrong. Finally, an old general stood. He had fought at Proxima. Lost many soldiers there. Ambassador, Commander, I have a question. During the war, could you have won faster? With these special forces, could you have defeated us in weeks instead of years? Taehyun and Daeun looked at each other. A long look. The general saw the answer in their faces even before they spoke. Yes, Taehyun said quietly. We could have. But total victory would have meant your complete destruction. We did not want that. We wanted peace. So we fought only hard enough to make you stop attacking us. We showed restraint because we believed you could change. That we could eventually be allies instead of enemies. The general sat down slowly. Around him, others were doing the same. The weight of this revelation was crushing. Humanity had held back, had chosen not to destroy them, even when they could have, Vorlix stood. Council members, we need time to process this information. We will reconvene tomorrow. But I want to say something now. To the humans. He turned to face Daun and Tai-hyun. Thank you. For showing restraint. For choosing peace. And for today. For saving our people when you had no obligation to do so. Daun bowed slightly. Chairman, we are all sharing this galaxy. We must learn to protect each other. Today was a start. As the council dispersed, Vorlix watched the humans leave. 50,000 special operators. Teams deployed across the galaxy. Invisible, deadly, professional. He had spent years fearing human conventional forces. Now he knew the truth. Those forces were just the visible part. The tip of a very large and very sharp spear. His assistant came up beside him. Sir, should we be afraid? Vorlix thought about the question. About the hostages rescued. About the restraint shown during the war. About the choice to reveal this secret rather than keep it hidden. No, he said finally. We should not be afraid. But we should be respectful. Very respectful. Humanity is not our enemy. But we never want them to be. That night, across the galaxy, military commanders reviewed their understanding of human capabilities. Intelligence agencies rewrote their assessments. Politicians reconsidered their strategies. The word spread quickly. Humanity had special forces. Elite warriors operating in the shadows, and they were far more capable than anyone had imagined. The galaxy had changed, not because of threats, not because of war, but because humanity had shown exactly what they could do, and chosen to do it in the service of saving lives rather than taking them. 3 months had passed since Epsilon 7. The galaxy was different now. Not in obvious ways. Ships still traveled the same routes. Trade continued. Colonies grew. But something fundamental had shifted. Vorlix sat in his office reading reports. Every day brought new information about human capabilities. His intelligence services were finding evidence everywhere. Old mysteries now had answers. Equipment failures that were actually sabotage. Accidents that were assassinations. Communication problems that were cyber attacks. The pattern was clear. Humanity had been operating in the shadows for decades. Quiet, professional, invisible, and the council had never noticed. A knock on his door. Enter. Ambassador Daun walked in. She looked tired but pleased. Chairman, thank you for seeing me. Ambassador, please sit. Can I ask you something? Of course, why tell us? 3 months ago, you revealed your special forces. You could have kept them secret forever. Why show us the truth? Daeun looked out the window at the stars. Because secrets poison relationships. You were afraid of what you knew. That fear would only grow as you imagined what you did not know. Eventually, that fear would lead to another war. We did not want that. So we showed you. Now the fear comes from understanding, not imagination, and understanding can lead to respect. Vorlix nodded slowly. It is working. The council voted yesterday. We want to establish a joint security program. Human special forces would help train our counter-terrorism units. Would Earth agree to this? We would, but on certain conditions. Our operators would only train. They would not deploy with your forces, and they would teach defensive techniques only. No offensive operations, that is acceptable. When can we begin? Next month. We are already selecting instructors. They talked for another hour about trade agreements, technology sharing, cultural exchanges. The relationship between Earth and the Council was growing stronger. Trust was building, slowly but genuinely. Later that day, Daeun met with Commander Tae-hyun and Captain Jiwoo in a secure room. The captain had returned from another mission. One that nobody would ever hear about. How did it go? Daeun asked. Jiwoo's face was neutral. Mission complete. The weapon smuggling ring is shut down. No casualties on our side. The criminals are in custody. Did anyone see you? No. As far as anyone knows, the criminals turned themselves in. Tae-hyun smiled slightly. Good work. How is your team? Ready for the next assignment. There will not be one for a while. You earned rest. Take a month. See your families. Jiwoo nodded. She stood to leave, then paused. Ambassador, that day at Epsilon 7, you knew it would change everything. That is why you called us. Yes, the council needed to see. Not hear about it. Not read about it. See it with their own eyes. You and your team gave them that demonstration. Thank you. We just did our job. Your job saved 37 lives and prevented a war. That is more than just doing a job. After Jiwoo left, Daeun and Taehyun sat in comfortable silence. Finally, Taehyun spoke. Do you think they understand now? The aliens? Some of them. The smart ones. They are beginning to see that strength and aggression are not the same thing. That having power does not mean using it constantly. That real strength includes knowing when not to fight. And the others? They are just afraid. That is fine. Fear creates caution. Caution prevents war. As long as they respect us, we can work with fear. Taehyun looked at a report on his desk. There is something you should know. A new species has petitioned to join the council. The Vex, they are aggressive, militaristic. They have conquered 3 smaller species in their region. What did Vorlix do? He sent them our complete military profile. Everything we revealed plus detailed combat records. The Vex withdrew their petition 6 hours later. They said they wanted to focus on internal development first. Daeun smiled. Good. Our reputation is doing the work for us now. That is exactly what we wanted. Across the galaxy, the story of Epsilon 7 spread. It became a legend. 5 humans against 40 terrorists, perfect execution, 0 hostage casualties. The details were exaggerated in some versions, simplified in others, but the core truth remained. Humanity had capabilities that went far beyond what anyone imagined. Young aliens studied human military history in their academies. They learned about ancient warriors, about special operations, about the philosophy of precision over power. Some were fascinated, others were terrified. All were respectful. In council chambers, human opinions carried new weight. When Daeun spoke, others listened carefully. When Taehyun made military assessments, they were trusted. Earth had become a partner, not just a member. A protector, not just a participant. 6 months after the Epsilon 7 rescue, another crisis emerged. A plague struck a colony world. The local medical system was overwhelmed. Thousands would die without help. The council debated sending aid ships. The journey would take 2 weeks. Too long. Daeun made a call. 4 hours later, a medical team arrived. They used the same stealth ships as the special forces. The same rapid deployment techniques. The doctors were not soldiers, but they had the same training philosophy. Quick, efficient, professional. They set up treatment centers in 12 hours. The plague was contained in 3 days. After that, requests for human assistance became common. Not for military operations, for disasters, for rescue missions, for problems that required speed and expertise. Earth helped when they could. Always professionally, always effectively. The reputation continued to grow. Vorlix found himself in an unexpected position. He had started as someone who feared humans. Now he defended them in council meetings. When others called them dangerous, he reminded them of Epsilon 7, of the restraint shown during the war, of the help provided during crises. Yes, humans are dangerous, he said in one debate. But dangerous to whom? To those who threaten the innocent, to terrorists and criminals, to those who start wars. If you are peaceful, humanity is the best ally you could have. If you are aggressive, they are the worst enemy. The choice is yours. 1 year after the revelation, Daeun stood on the observation deck looking at Earth. The blue and green planet hung in space, peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe this world had produced such formidable warriors. Taehyun joined her. Thinking about home? Thinking about how far we have come. A year ago, we were still technically at war. Now we are training their soldiers, responding to their emergencies, building actual friendships. It worked. Your plan worked. Peace through strength. Show them what we can do, then choose not to do it unless necessary. It only worked because our people earned their respect. Jiwoo and her team, all the other operators doing missions we will never discuss. They showed that humanity is not just powerful. We are precise, professional, honorable. That combination is rare in the galaxy. Taehyun nodded. And now they know. The whole galaxy knows. Earth's military is something to respect, not just fear. Our special forces are legends. And our real strength was never our weapons or our training. It was always our restraint. Somewhere in deep space, Captain Jiwoo and her team were already on another mission. The details were classified. The objective was critical. They would complete it perfectly, and no one would ever know they were there. Just like always. Just like the thousands of other operators deployed across the galaxy. The ghosts continued their work. Protecting humanity, protecting the innocent. Operating in the shadows so that others could live in the light. The galaxy had learned to fear Earth's military. Then they met the special forces. And they learned something more important than fear. They learned respect. They learned that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their tactics. It was their character, their choice to use their power wisely, to fight when necessary, but to choose peace whenever possible. In council chambers across dozens of worlds, a new phrase entered common use. When faced with a difficult problem, someone would ask, "What would the humans do?" And the answer was always the same. They would find the most efficient solution, execute it perfectly, protect the innocent, and never boast about it afterward. That was the human way. And now the galaxy understood.